But the main thing is that we're through the group. And I think you always have to remember that. What was the goal of the first part of the World Cup? To get to the next stage, which we have done. And also, Simon the Board A-Hole here. Thank you very much for joining me as always. And the England versus Wales game has just finished. And we did miss the last one when they took on the US of A because I was wrestling. A few people messaged me and said, why didn't you do a video? Well, I was wrestling. And for the people that aren't aware at the moment, we are just going to do sporadic football videos here and there, mostly when it comes to Arsenal or other sort of big stories that happen in football. But as the World Cup is on right now and is England playing, I thought I shall just have little chats when the matches are done. Also, shout out to Sam. If he watches this, he knows he is one of the reasons I am doing this because he gave me renewed confidence. Anyway, spoilers, because someone had a go at me the other day. He's like, I didn't want to know the score. So why didn't you watch the game live? What do you want me to do about it? England 3, Wales 0. Now, you would have seen the title. I've YouTubed it a little bit, and I've been a little bit of a negative Nancy, probably more extreme than I would like it to be. But it was a game of two halves. I hate that saying because it's stupid and it's absolutely redundant. But England in the first half were boring. And they were dull. And it was very much the similar pace of play that we had when we took on the US of A, right? Don't look confident, look worried, look far more interested in trying not to concede a goal than actually going out there and scoring a goal, despite the fact, and I'm going to go with the team we had today as opposed to the other day, you got Rashford, you got Kane, you got Foden, you got Bellingham, you got other people that you can bring on the pitch, and you got Grealish, for example. So it's tough because you watch that, and I don't know about you, but I get bored, if nothing else. And first and foremost, I want to be entertained by sport. Now, that doesn't mean that you just go out there and you play Harlem Globetrotters football. That'd be absolutely redonkulous, right? Because there's a lot of money at stake, and, you know, some people obviously are super duper invested. But after that first half, I was just like, should I even watch the second half? It's so damn dull. And look, no offense to any Welsh fans watching. I think it's an amazing achievement thing you've done. First World Cup you've been in since 1958 or whatever it's been. It hasn't been a great tournament. You know, the second half against USA, notwithstanding, where I thought you were pretty damn good, it's been a damp squib, basically, in all the games. So when a team like England come up against you, who at one point were one of the favourites for the World Cup, you want to see them hit that go button because you start asking the question, well, if they're not going to hit the go button against Wales, what do they do when they come up against Brazil? What do they do when they come up against France? What do they do when they come up against Spain? I think Spain have looked pretty good, even though Germany got that late goal the other day. But then you get to the second half when it was kind of like when they were playing Germany a few months ago, and all of a sudden they just went, oh my gosh, we've got to do something. We have to go get something done. And all of a sudden they turn it on, and you kind of watch it going, why aren't you playing like this all the time? It's a bit like Tottenham. I'm not going to rag on Tottenham, even though I'm an Arsenal fan. But so many times this season, Spurs have been terrible in the first half, and the second half is a completely different team. And that's absolutely how England came across. Now, when all is said and done, they did it, right? They beat them 3-0. They're now going through top of the group. They're going to play Senegal in the last 16. Senegal are actually a pretty decent team. If you watch them, they're very well organised. They have some quite good players that you've probably never heard of. But England should beat them in terms of looking at it on paper. But you ask yourself, well, are they going to go into it in the same way they approached the Iran game? Are they going to treat it more like a USA challenge? Or it's like, well, we're not 100% sure what's going to happen. So we'll kind of tread carefully, which is what they did against Wales. And I think eventually, if you do keep doing that, you will become unstuck. You know, England haven't gone behind in a game yet. And you actually would probably be able to argue that maybe it would be a good thing if you went one down early on, because then they would hit the panic stations where they seem to be at their best. But the main thing is that we're through the group. And I think you always have to remember that. What was the goal of the first part of the World Cup? To get to the next stage, which we have done. And also, drawn one is pretty damn good. And as we are talking about the USA, I like the USA football team, soccer team. I'm going to get absolutely ruined for saying that. You can't say that in the United Kingdom. I'm not saying that I wanted USA to win. Of course I didn't. You know, you always want your home side to do well. But I like the USA team. I just do. I'm just going to leave it there. You can go nuts in the comments. It's good engagement. The YouTube video will take off. But I mean, if you look at the team, was Pickford, Walker, Stones, Maguire, Shaw, Henderson, Rice, Bellingham, Foden, Kane, Rashford. Obviously, Walker coming back into the team. I think that's really good because, again, if you come up against a France, you're going to have the pace of Mbappe. And despite being 31 or whatever he is, Walker has retained that. So that's going to be absolutely essential. Shaw, to me, looked okay, but I would be more worried about, you know, playing a team that had more dynamic wingers or fullbacks. And I was a bit surprised that Henderson played, but Henderson does bring experience. Like, I'm sure even Liverpool fans would say this. It's not really the fact he's a tremendous professional football player when it comes to his skills, that obviously he's very, very good, but it's his personality. Again, it's his leadership. It's those qualities that he brings that holds the team together. And Bellingham was kind of quiet in the first half, but when you got to the second half, I still think you saw these little patches of brilliance, and that kind of excites me a little bit. And I think the fact that Gareth Southgate left him on for the entire 90 minutes, as I check my notes, it is good. And Trippier came on for sure as well, but the 65th minute, I think I would start Trippier. I mean, against Senegal, it doesn't really matter, but when you come up against the teams that should beat you. And you saw Alexander-Arnold in the 57th minute, which of course tied in to the goals, which I haven't even talked about because I'm an idiot. Well, two of the goals, one of the goals I should say, because Rashford got two, Foden got one. It was basically 2 goals in a minute. I mean, all of a sudden, England went, oh yeah, we got to score goals. Rashford, for me right now, has just played himself. Well, he should just start every single game as far as I'm concerned. I know Grealish came on for him in the 76th minute, but you know the cool thing about Rashford, and this is one I kind of get a bit frustrated about the England team as well. Rashford has taken his Manchester United form and he's brought it right into the team. Kane really hasn't done that with his Tottenham form, and I'm sure there's other people I'm forgetting too. Foden kind of has here or there. So there are so many other people you think, well, maybe if we threw them into the team as well, we'd have a better dynamic. But hey-ho, Phillips came on as well, which is good because he's had an injury-hit season for Manchester City, and I think he's a very decent player. And Wilson came on for Kane too. He didn't really. Yeah, I mean, he was relatively active, and it was cool. So once again, when you go through the bench, I mean, Grealish, Sterling, Trippier, Pope, Phillips, Dyer, Cody, Saka. I mean, Saka didn't even play. Think about that. I don't know why the reasons. Maybe you know. Once again, let me know in the comments. Alexander-Arnold, Mount, Ramsdale, Wilson, Madison, Gallagher. To me, gotta get to the semi-finals. That's a good team, and I'm not 100% sure we've shown that we're capable of that at the moment. But it's a game of football, right? It can. You know, now all of a sudden, if you do turn it on, you can fly through to the finals where you're going to come up against a stiff challenge. But by then, hopefully, you've got your momentum, you've got your tactics, you've got your formation, you know what works, you know what players need to be included, and you can do it. So, you know, I mean, it's weird to me. Like, I can't believe I'm saying this in a YouTube video. People will go nuts. Do I want England to win the World Cup? Yes. Is it the be-all and end-all for me? No. I kind of enjoy the pageantry of the tournament a little bit more. So as I sit here right now with that kind of attitude, I think it's important to say it. I probably think we're not going to win it, which is why I think it would be cooler if we showed some really badass performances, because that's something you can take away. But I do like Gareth Southgate as a manager. I want to put out there, I think he gets too much criticism because using these tactics, this is on my shoulders too for what I've just said, he's taken us to a semi-final and he's taken us to a final, and we're this close away from winning the Euros. So he does probably deserve a little bit more respect. But yeah, decent, I'd say, you know, last 2/3 of the second half. First half was absolutely dire. It's just dull. It was just doing nothing. And I feel if Wales had, you know, some better quality, or Ramsey and Bale weren't injured, as far as I was concerned, they didn't look fit at all, they may have been able to do us some damage. But, you know, they weren't able to, and they shouldn't have done. Once again, you were looking at the teams. So now Senegal. And again, you'd imagine that we would beat Senegal, but you never know. It is crazy. I mean, think of, you know, Argentina lost to Saudi Arabia, etc. And we will check back in after that game as the crazy World Cup in December, November continues. Now, please do leave a comment below and let me know what you think about all of this. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Again, go nuts to the comments. It's a football video. Click the bell, ding dings. When other videos are going live, there will be a video on the screen. Please do give it a click. Otherwise, back to the fitness stuff. GorillaMind.com/Simon. Simon get 10% off. I'm on Cameo. Patreon.com/Simon316. That's Simon316 on Instagram and Twitter. I now have a pro wrestling tees store. ProWrestlingTees.com/Simon Miller. That's where you can get all my wrestling merchandise. And I think that's everything. Usually forget something, but that feels good. Keep enjoying your sport of choice. See you soon.